What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And I want to make a video that addresses something that I often talk about, but I've never made a video like this before. And that is why the 90s, and therefore the Attitude Era, was better than the modern day by a significant margin. Now, let me put it to you this way, right? A lot of you weren't around in the 90s. The hater barely was around in the 90s. I was a kid. I was a teenager at best, right? I was like 12 in 1999. So, I'm not like, that old, right? But the fact is, I remember the 90s and then the early 2000s, which are kind of like the same thing, right? That transitory period. Around 2007 or so is when things hit the fan and then everything got weird and everything got bad and everything got boring, right? When I say everything, I mean absolutely everything, right? It's like we were given less interesting things and told that they're good, and some people just bought into it, right? I'll give you a perfect example that some of you may be familiar with, right? The sitcom Friends, right? Not the funniest sitcom by any means, but a massive success, and obviously something that was enjoyable to watch by millions of Americans. Then a few years after Friends finishes, I hear about How I Met Your Mother. So I'm like, all right, let's give this thing a shot. Everyone's talking about it. And I see these two idiots sword fighting, like bad sword fighting, and they're like, why did we do this before? Before. And the other guy's like, I know. And then there's like a laugh track, and I'm like, what the fuck's funny about this? It's two fucking weirdos sword fighting. This isn't cool. This is lame as shit. Like, they're obviously going for the Joey and Chandler situation, right? Or whatever, the Ross and Chandler situation. Who cares, right? But that show, as I started watching it, it has an analog to every character from Friends, right? Every character has an analog, right? It's the same fucking show, but just redone with different, less charismatic, and quite frankly, less good-looking people. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. Like, since the 90s, people in society have gotten worse looking, but definitely people on TV. I mean, have you seen the beasts that they show us on TV and tell us are good looking? I'm like, I cannot believe this shit's happening, man. I'm like, this is not like, this is beyond the pale, Wrestling is in a similar situation, Wrestling used to have bigger, larger than life stars. And we used to dream. We used to think, man, how cool would it be if like The Undertaker showed up at WCW? Wouldn't that be nice, right? Nowadays, the concept of the dream is over, right? So it's like, I'll give you another quick analogy, right? The dream team in basketball, right? After several humiliations, the United States goes to the Olympics and fields the best it's got. Instead of fielding college jobbers, they field the best they got, and now it's a wrap, right? Everybody there except for Christian Laettner is a bona fide Hall of Famer. Most of those people are like top 10 all time, right? And definitely, like all of them except for Laettner were top 10 at that time, right? So you got like, Magic Johnson, right? Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Isaiah. You got all these people, and it really was a dream, right? It was like, oh my God, how cool would it be if Magic Johnson and Larry Bird didn't play against each other, right? But played with each other. That's a fucking dream. It's a dream come true, and now we get to see it. Then a few years later, after another drought, we do like the Redeem Dream, right? And they pretend that this is the same caliber, right? Now, the players are probably just as good. Like, Kevin Durant is a good player. LeBron is obviously a good player. But I don't give a fuck, right? Nobody is dreaming about seeing LeBron play with Kevin Durant. I don't care at all, because I don't give a shit about their rivalry. You see what I'm saying? The NBA back in the day, if there was a rivalry, these guys, like, they were friends backstage after the season. During the season, they hated each other. Every time Bird beat Magic, he would talk shit. And every time Magic beat Bird, he would talk shit. And that's what was great about it. It was competitive. There was fouls. So now you're like, holy shit, these two perpetual enemies, like Goku and Vegeta, motherfucks, are finally coming together. That's a dream team. If you have like Nappa and Yamcha teaming up, that's not a dream team. That's two dorks. And that's what LeBron and Kevin Durant are. And likewise, wrestling is in the exact same position. You see what I'm saying? Like, now they're like, oh, a dream match, Finn Balor versus Nathan Frazier. Motherfuck, nobody's dreaming about Finn Balor versus Nathan Frazier. I don't even want to see that shit for free, And they're like, oh, it's a dream match, Chelsea Green versus Nia Jax. I'm like, no, you misunderstood what a dream match is. You must be confusing it with urination break, because that's all that match is good for. See what I'm saying? Things have gotten way worse. In the 90s, people cared about entertainment. They wanted things to be fun and they wanted things to be engaging. And some of the best movies of all time came out during that period. Remember, motherfucks? Like, I'll give you an example. The movie Philadelphia. The hater doesn't really like it, but I recognize the acting was great. Tom Hanks plays a homosexual who has AIDS and is suing for employment discrimination. Denzel Washington plays a slight homophobe attorney who takes the case, and through this, they become friends, and Denzel realizes that hating gay people isn't cool, right? Great story, great movie, nominated for Oscars, motherfucks, and it was a mainstream movie. Nowadays, when you see what's nominated for Oscars, it'll be like, The Quiet Butterfly Sat on the Moss, directed by fucking nobody McNobody, starring like douchebag McGee and absolute nobodies that we've never heard of. You know what I mean? Like, the mainstream movies are no longer good, right? The good movies, quote unquote, are no longer mainstream. And it's the same thing with wrestling, right? That's what companies like ROH and AEW tried to capture. They tried to capture this philosophy. They're like, look, that's the mainstream wrestling, WWE. We are the good wrestling, except they all suck too. And that's the problem, right? Nothing is both good and mainstream anymore. Sports even aren't that mainstream. Nobody really gives a shit about the NBA. Like, they keep advertising the NBA finals. You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever going to be excited about the NBA finals like they were when it was like Bird Celtics versus like Johnson's Lakers, or even Michael Jordan versus Stockton and Malone on Utah Jazz. Nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like, the fights were a big deal. Yeah, like Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. Like, holy shit, what a massive fight. Nowadays, they're like, oh, don't you want to watch Merab Dvalishvili versus like Sean O'Malley? No, not really. I don't give a fuck. I'm certainly not paying for it. If I'm at a friend's house and he's paying for it, I guess I'll take a look in between piss breaks, but I don't care because there's no mainstream appeal. Nobody knows who the fuck these people are. And now it's all marketing and it's all lies, right? Like, look at Sean O'Malley. Like, I know he's a capable fighter. The hater did boxing, and I know Sean O'Malley is probably the best striker in the UFC, if not UFC history. A lot of people don't know this because they don't understand anything about striking. They think like Daniel Cormier is a good striker, But at the same time, I don't give a shit. And Sean O'Malley is someone that tries. He tries to have star power. He just doesn't have it, And then when someone I won't say Conor McGregor is mediocre because he's obviously a massive star, but he shouldn't have been as big as he was. He's a massive star because he didn't have anybody to compete with. He competes with like Eddie Alvarez and a bunch of other weirdo losers, Whereas Mike Tyson, who is more charismatic than basically everyone in the UFC, aside from Conor McGregor, on top of being like one of the greatest boxers of all time, he's out there going face to face, talking about eating Lennox Lewis's children, driving pay-per-view sales up. Lennox Lewis is like a nice English gentleman. He's like, he talked about my children. Now I gotta kill them. You know what I mean? And like, this sets up a good rivalry, right? Not to talk about Ali because that's like before my time, but Ali, like the scathing remarks that Ali would make on people like Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier's like, oh, like, I'm a nice guy, Mr. Clay, which is Muhammad Ali's like, Mr. Clay seems to be a nice guy. I hope we have a good fight. And then they're like, what do you think, Mr. Clay? And Cassius Clay is like, man, I'm going to beat this guy senseless. He sucks. Like, this is the kind of thing people wanted to see, right? And the irony is, all this shit came from wrestling, right? Muhammad Ali has gone on record to say that Gorgeous George was a massive influence on his personality and his career. He understood the art of promotion, right? Whether it's movies, entertainment, TV. He understood how to make things interesting. Now, it's like you hire, and I'm not slighting them, like, they're good fighters. Like, you hire all these like Dagestanis, right? They barely speak any English, which is fine. They can kick ass. You don't need to speak English to kick ass. Then you have boring ass fights. And then people are like, wow, that was amazing. No, it wasn't, motherfuckers. Stop lying to yourself. Nobody's entertained by two people hugging each other for 10 minutes on the ground. That's not fun. Like, this is why, for example, shows like Cobra Kai have had massive success because Cobra Kai brings back coolness, right? You see karate. It's a bunch of kids, but you see karate and you're like, this guy just did a jump kick and then landed, kicking another guy while landing. That's 100 times more interesting than a single leg takedown, right? Karate rules, MMA drools, cucks. But the point is, we have nothing to look forward to because mediocrity has been allowed to fester on our TVs. And at this point, something that's above mediocre, like perhaps a Braun Breaker, seems to be like gargantuan star power, right? It's not true. Like, if we're all being honest, let's be real. Like, Literally every single person currently in the NXT right now would be introduced without theme music, and they would be jobbing to Steve Blackman and Stevie Richards on a throwaway episode of Sunday Night Heat. That's what would happen. None of these guys have what it takes. Now, if this is the best we've got, it's the best we've got. But there is no explanation as to why this is the best we've got, other than laziness, other than nobody is doing their job correctly, which is very, very possible, given that this company is being run currently by Triple H, Paul Levesque, and of course, our good friend Lee Fitting, motherfucks. So that being said, I'm happy I took you guys down this nostalgic drive. In the 90s, things were edgy. Things were cool. You had things to look forward to every single week. Like, you'd go there. We had, remember Ripley's Believe It or Not in the early 2000s? It's like every Wednesday, whatever the fuck it was. You'd see like a freak show, You had Fear Factor, like pushing the limits of what can be shown on TV. You know what I mean? You had Jerry Springer. But on top of all of this, motherfucks, on top of all of this was Monday Night Raw. And now Monday Night Raw is proud to announce that they've entered into a sponsorship with Minute Maid. So Jimmy Uso or Jay Uso or wherever the fuck can be on the carton. Wow. That's really exciting. When I go to the grocery store next, I'm going to take the Minute Maid, piss right in it, and then say that's what you get for wasting my time, cucks. And with that being said, take care of yourselves and then go fuck your mothers.